is Governor Bob Ehrlich. Good day, doctors.
George Allen here. Good day, doctors.
Good. It's Friday evening, everyone. After hiatus, the doctors are back. Last week we tried to go online, but we couldn't get a decent signal out in Flintstone, Maryland. Maybe because Fred and Barney didn't set the internet up right there. I don't know. But we had a lot of fun. Dr. Thomas
Bam Bam destroyed the internet.
That's probably true. Bam
Yeah.
Bam.
Flintstone.
I tell you, if I had, it's funny is when I was doing the program cover. I was talking, if I'd realized it's Flintstone, I would have definitely thrown Fred Flintstone, some of the Flintstone characters into the program. The program is beautiful. I don't know, Don, have you seen the program?
No, I never saw it. Do you have a copy there?
Yes, I do. I have a copy right here.
I just happen to have a copy right here.
Oh yeah, it is.
Ah.
Yeah, it was very, very cool. I think Governor Ehrlich was in about 85% of the pictures.
Yeah. Well, basically, I just took all the pictures.
I know.
And this is the back cover. You see, both of our shows are featured prominently on the back cover.
It was a fun convention. I had a good time.
Next convention is going to be even more fun. It's going to be Ocean City.
I do, Chris. I do think that Dwight is Ehrlich's #1 fanboy, though. Okay, so.
Well, I tell you this, Governor Ehrlich, as we talked about this last Friday when we did a recorded show, Governor Ehrlich has probably done more to help build the Republican Party than any other Republican governor in my lifetime. And that even goes for the one who shall be nameless, Governor Spiro-Agnew. Oh, I just named him.
Yeah. Very subtle.
I mean, Governor. I mean, Chris. I mean, you probably know this. Like 4 years ago, when Governor Hogan, rightly so, was doing the Drive for Five, and did they do the Magnificent Seven for this, or did they just go for the Drive for Five? Did they do the House races last 4 years ago?
No, 4 years ago it was the Drive for Five, and it was just focused on the Senate. But there was actually about 8 or 9 races they were focused on. They needed to win 5, but but it was just the Senate.
And a lot of candidates were upset about saying, "Oh, the governor's not doing anything for us," and they go, "He's not endorsing us." Well, you're Republicans. He's a Republican. That means you guys are on the same team. So basically, you've got a de facto endorsement, frankly. And a lot of candidates, but Bob Ehrlich, he went out, and any candidate needed help. Bob Ehrlich, if he was able to get it into his schedule, he would go out and do an event. He did an event for Pat Finati. He did an event for me. He did an event. I mean, he did an event for Johnny Ray Salling. He did an event for Rick Metzger.
He did a book signing for the my pack up here back in June or July or August. I don't know, sometime in the summer. But I mean, you're right. He's very giving to the party and candidates.
Mm-hmm. And we've got, by the way, we're doing his book signing. Next book is going to be in Montgomery County, December 2nd. Hopefully you can attend, and hopefully you can attend our Christmas party on December 5th too. We're doing that here in Montgomery County.
Cool.
But
I just want to comment on the Ehrlich thing too. I do want to give Governor Ehrlich definitely 2 thumbs up, if not more. If I had more thumbs, for a great job that he's done. I mean, winning the governorship, when he did, was a big deal. I mean, he did lose the subsequent races, but I think he also, just by doing so, he gave a lot of Republicans hope that we actually had a shot here in Maryland of doing things, and by and by, I think it's been a good time for the Republican Party overall. And then, he paved the way for Hogan. There's no way Hogan could have even really run if not for Ehrlich. So, I think Hogan owes Governor Ehrlich a lot of credit for that.
I mean, he was Governor Hogan. He was Governor Ehrlich's appointment secretary as well.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things is we all stand on the shoulders of Governor Ehrlich. Governor Ehrlich really has basically put the modern Republican Party on the map. Frankly, it's
in fact, you speak of he who shall not be named, not the individual you mentioned earlier, but he was so good to the party that his lieutenant governor, his winning the year he won, was none other than the chairman of the Republican Party, I guess at the time or right before. So that's how good he was to the party. Unfortunately, that man who should not be named was not so loyal to the party. But
yeah, let's just talk briefly about Michael Steele.
We're supposed to say his name. Don't give him any. Don't give him any.
Why did you go there, Chris? Why did you go there,
Chris? We have to talk. Did you? I mean, this is probably before you talk. But did you know the party paid him $5,000 a month to be Bob's running mate because, well, he was a eighth-rate lawyer, frankly,
really,
who couldn't pass the Maryland bar. I mean, he went to law school. He finished, from what I understand, he finished last at Georgetown. And then, but it's kind of the worst. It's kind of like the doctor who finishes last in medical school. What do you call a doctor? He's still a lawyer, but he didn't pass the Maryland bar. Michael Steele, basically had his own band of cronies when he was lieutenant governor. And, he basically, and now he's turning around and running as a Democrat for governor. Mr. Lincoln Project himself. And he has and honestly, that's really what he should do, frankly, run as a Democrat. But I think he wants to run as a Republican, and I have no idea if he's on crack or what, that he actually thinks he has a snowball's chance in Miami of winning the Republican nomination. That's my piece on Michael Steele. Feel free to add any other Michael Steele tidbits, maybe the strip club fundraiser when he had RNC meetings in Hawaii costing more money than any other RNC meetings. Because, well, I don't know if he understands this. You got to take a long flight from anywhere in the lower 48 and Alaska, actually, to fly to Hawaii. And that's an expensive place. Hawaii is an expensive state. Don, you've been to Hawaii several times. You know how expensive it is, right? And that was in the good old days.
Hawaii's very expensive. Yeah, but, and on Steele, I mean, he's shown himself really to be nothing but an opportunist. I mean, there are a lot of us who supported him back in the day and we were excited about him, but it was a pretty disastrous run as the RNC chair. And this, he's got.
Remember, we all supported John McCain too.
I mean, it's how does a guy like that actually legitimately think that he can actually run, on the Republican ticket in Maryland after all that he's done since he left office? It's just, there may be some liberal Republicans out there that might vote for him, but the base Republicans, for what we are, there's no way we're going to vote for that guy. So,
and I think. Go ahead.
I said it before. I mean, for all the gripes that Governor Hogan might get about his lack of support for President Trump, and I totally get, I totally understand, why he, felt the way he felt and the way he expressed it. I mean, I think the media beat the hell out of him to get him to finally say something. But for all the garbage that Governor Hogan got, what he didn't do? He didn't appear on the DNC's the DNC's convention on a video endorsing President Biden, which is exactly what Michael Steele did. So Michael Steele, as far as I'm concerned, the moment he appeared during the Democrats' convention this past summer and endorsed Joe Biden, he was dead to me at that point. So.
And not only that, Michael Steele campaigned against Republicans like Susan Collins and Cory Gardner, who he allegedly probably is more in lockstep with, But Larry Hogan campaigned for Cory Gardner and Susan Collins and other moderate Republicans around the country. Larry might be partially responsible, other than Susan's charisma and charm, for holding on to that Senate seat in Maine. I think, I mean, it's one thing you can disagree and not.
Yeah.
we all were, I don't think any of us were really super excited about John McClane in 2008. But we all went along, on that ride. I mean, we did that in 2012 for Mitt Romney. There's a picture I just posted, myself and Mitt Romney back when I was about 200 pounds heavier. But it's Mitt Romney. We've always. I mean, come on. I'm sure there. I mean, Don, you might remember Republicans that were enthusiastic about Jerry Ford in '76 too. It's like. We are loyal.
I mean, those are going to be the case. I mean, and look, I mean, we did, all of us know, fellow Republicans, throughout the state of Maryland, who've been throwing a lot of brickbats at the governor for his position on Trump and things like that. But I really think that they have to look at the bigger picture. You're in a Democrat state, basically.
Yeah.
You've got pockets of Republicans, here and there, but you're basically in a Democrat state. He has governed about as well as I would have expected him to, given the fact that he has nothing in the legislature to be able to move anything really forward. I think he's done a very good job of managing this, and he's kept the Democrats more or less at bay. I mean, and winning 2 terms, that has stunned the Democrats.
That is, I mean, I think. Winning 2 terms, and I think we're in good position for, we take the governorship again, because I think the Democrats are not going to nominate Peter Franchot or a moderate Democrat. They're going to go for a wokey McWokey, the leftist of the left, and it's probably going to be Tom Perez. The guy, by the way, Chris, I don't know if you know this, but Tom Perez wanted to be Attorney General one year in Maryland. Then he found out.
I recently came across that. Yeah.
I think it's as the Maryland Republican Party's old slogan. It's a good time to be a Republican in Maryland these days. I think we're gonna this time around it's gonna be the Democrats that are gonna have to defend Joe Biden's reckless spending and so on. Chris, real quick, a little inside baseball. I want to just talk about. Last week at the convention, we had a referendum, as you know, that came up, right? Moral turpitude. Were you as disappointed as I was how many Republicans went up there and opposed giving to Democrats? There were and I hate to say it, many were from my county that were saying we should be allowed to give to Democrats. I mean, and there's a certain person who shall be nameless told another person who we both know that he should be allowed to give the money to Joe Manchin. I'm like, why wouldn't you give it to the Republican running against Joe Manchin?
I was just speechless. I mean, and the thing is, I think a lot of people, because Baltimore City and Montgomery County were probably the most vocal in opposition of it.
And there was one person in Montgomery County that was vocal in support of it too.
but actually, I mean, when I was on the floor, because I was also voting. In fact, I was I was going up and reading our votes because our chairman wasn't there. So I was on the floor and bumping into a lot of people. It wasn't just Baltimore City or Montgomery County. There was a lot of people from like a lot of Western Maryland counties that you would think like, how could that be? I mean, I was really surprised by like the fact that, I don't know, 1/3, maybe a little more, maybe getting to almost half of the room feel that it's okay to donate to Democrats. And I don't get it. And I mean, Joey Lynn, what she said, I was thinking the same thing, but I didn't think anyone was going to say it out loud. Joey Lynn went up to the mic and said, if you're so inclined to donate to a Democrat, have your husband do it. Have your wife do it. Do it through your company. Something like, there's loopholes, all right? Like, we're not supposed to really talk about it, but there are ways if you're so inclined to donate. And then everybody kept giving this example of
their brother or sister that's a Democrat.
Yeah, if their brother is running. All right. If your brother or sister, I don't know how many people's siblings are running for office as Democrats, but if they're running for office, I would hope that they would at least have have enough intelligence to realize that you're a Republican Central Committee member, and even though you love them, I love you, brother, sister, whatever. I am I can't give you money because of the position I'm in. I would think that your sibling would have at least enough brain power to understand that and not, disown you. Yeah, I was very surprised, and I know Garrett worked really hard on that, and the rest of the folks that worked on that bill. No, I keep wanting to say bill amendment to the bylaws.
Yeah, I called it a bill when I went on the floor too.
It was surprising. And I'm not going to say, some people brought up some good points, but I cannot begin to comprehend why
here's the thing.
It's okay.
And this goes back to my days in student government. Our student government advisor, Miss Warner. God bless her. I still see her every now and then when I'm running and so on. But she made a very good point. When you run for student senate, we need to get 25 signatures to get on the student senate. It used to be 15 my freshman year, then we upped it to 25 because we figured it was, 15 was just a little too easy. So we thought it'd be 20, and 25 was just easy getting 15. But the point is, she made a very good point. We went around and asked 25 people to put their name on our petition to become a senator, student senator. Same way, we put our name on the ballot. We ask the people to elect us to the Senate Committee. I have not seen, I don't know, Chris, about you, but nobody has really came up to me and begged me to run for Central Committee. Oh, please, Dwight, run. We need you on the Central Committee. Nobody has done that. I don't know if you've gotten that, Chris. I know you've got a smaller county. Maybe, you have people that come up to you when you're at the mall in Westminster, oh, Chris, please run for Central Committee. We really need you,
You're the Republican Party's only hope.
Exactly. And this is what I think. Heather Olson, I don't know if you know Heather Olson. She used to be the Prince George's County chair. Okay. Heather did not donate to Democrats, but she, in her heart of hearts, could not support President Trump in 2016. What did she do? Did she go out and endorse Hillary as the chair of the PG County GOP? No, she resigned and she basically left the Republican Central Committee. She's still a registered Republican. And I tell you, I have a whole hell of a lot of respect for Heather Olson than I do for weaselly Republicans who think they can give money to people like Ike Leggett, especially the year we're trying to get Jim Shalek elected county executive. They give like $2,000 to Ike Leggett. They give money to Saqib Ali. They give money to, you fill in the blank Democrat and say, it's like, no, then resign from the Central Committee. If you feel that your business interests are more important than you being a loyal Republican, and it comes down to loyalties at the end of the day. I mean, I worked for Paul Wyrick, Morton Blackwell, Alphonse D'Amato, Reed Irvine. The one thing that was the most important thing to them was loyalty trumped everything else, pretty much. You had to be loyal. And, if you're a Republican Central Committee member, how loyal are you if you're giving money to the opposition?
Really? And I know, sorry.
No, I was just going to say just that. And do you think there are members of the Democrat Central Committee, throughout the state that are giving to Republicans?
No, in fact, it's funny you mention that. Kathy Smiro, great Baltimore County, awesome chairwoman. She was like number 6 or 7 in line at the mic, so she didn't get to speak. But she pulled it up on her phone and was looking at their bylaws, their state bylaws, the Maryland Democrat Party, and their own bylaws, in fact, stopped them from doing exactly what this amendment was trying to do. Their own bylaws stopped them from being able to donate to Republicans. So why should we feel that it's all right for our guys when we're already at a disadvantage?
Exactly.
Why should we feel like it's all right for us to donate to them when they themselves don't allow their guys to donate to Republicans?
Yep.
And they should.
And I think, let me just issue an apology to Kathleen Adelaide from your county. I totally forgot that we had one more resolution, but sorry, apologies to you, Kathleen. If you're
I'm gonna send this clip to her so she can hear it straight from your mouth.
It's like I totally.
A lot of people, including me, are getting an earful because of.
I know, and
my Montgomery County friend, so I'm sending this clip to her.
Thank you, please do. And here's the thing: if I did not do the motion to adjourn, somebody else, there were like 20 other people in the room that would have done that.
I know, and I tried, and I have told her. I said this wasn't like nobody was trying to not pass her pro-life resolution.
Yeah, we've passed it twice before.
People were just, after that very lengthy debate on that amendment, people were just ready to get on off the mountain and get back to civilization. Yeah, it
I
had
could
nothing. It had nothing to do. It could have whatever was next after that was not in a good position.
Oh yeah, I could not believe, Father, even the moral turpitude stuff about embezzlement and stuff like that, people actually got up and said, we don't like this. That's
So,
even
Paul,
funnier than
of course, the thing is that, and we see this at every single state convention virtually when we come up with these, there's all these amendments and people are arguing and some of them go forever, right? They just take forever. It's like, why are we discussing and debating these things to this end and we're not accomplishing anything? Does it surprise you that the Republican Party doesn't do better in Maryland? I mean, if I think we waste too much time on a lot of stuff like this in terms of just all 30 minutes on this or 45 minutes or an hour or whatever. And we could be doing a lot better, but more things that will just help the party a lot better in the long run. But we do get bogged down. I mean, it is a little bit of a microcosm to me of the Republican Party, say in Congress and things like that. It's just they argue and they fight amongst themselves, and then they leave the opening to the Democrats to come in there and eat their lunch. So we do need to sometimes refocus ourselves, I think, on some of these things.
What's that old slogan? We don't belong to any organized party. We're Republicans.
That would be very fitting, based on the way that I've seen Republicans operate over the years. So what are we talk about national, some of the other topics here?
Yeah, there's a lot of things happened, especially with old Brandon, Joe Biden,
Yeah, well,
he's in Rome.
Yeah, so I'm not Catholic, but they have this big, he had this meeting with the Pope, and they were going to say, they had pulled it back, and then there was no live coverage of him meeting or shaking hands or whatever. So he had the kind of a private meeting, and he says, the Pope said I should go ahead and continue to take communion and all these things. Now, look, okay, fine, but I kind of want to know is that, do we believe Joe Pope actually said that to Joe Biden? I don't know.
Well,
I'm a little
against nothing
this.
against this Pope, but he's no Pope Benedict or Pope John Paul II. Frankly, this guy is fairly liberal. I wouldn't put it past this Pope. He is. I mean, he is the Pope. He's the head of the church. I guess he gets to make the rules, but he does strike me as kind of a social justice warrior. Chris, I think you might have more of a legitimate views on that. I don't know if you agree, disagree.
Yeah. I mean, from the Catholics I know, and obviously these are mostly conservative Catholics, which honestly, up until recently, I didn't know there was much of anything else. But much to my surprise, he has been a great disappointment, and he is, what did you say, social justice warrior? That's pretty much it.
And they say he's a real scientist, even though they say he's a scientist, so he can talk about climate change. Evidently, that's what the left keeps saying.
Yes, because climate change should be a major concern for the leader of the largest.
Right. And it's not necessarily to pick on the Pope, but it also is a larger question of, should these religious leaders like that? I mean, I thought their job, or their calling, or whatever you want to put it, is to keep the faith, is to talk about the faith, and to dictate, kind of lay out the groundwork for the faithful. And we've just seen this bigger shift where they've gone into these political and, as Dwight said, social justice type of issues. Is that religion now today? Is that the religion is becoming a social justice kind of a deal now worldwide?
I mean, we saw the Methodist Church split over the whole social justice, I think I'm not sure how accurate the story is. The story, as I was told, is our old friend Paul Weyrich left the Catholic Church, went to the Eastern Orthodox Catholic Church because he felt the church was getting a little too lefty, and that was in the days of John Paul II.
Good thing he didn't stick around.
Yeah, Paul passed away, I think it was about 10, 15 years ago now.
It's been a while.
Yeah, if he had stuck around, he'd been really disappointed.
Oh, let me tell you, Paul would have an earful to say about the modern Republican Party.
Yeah, no, I think you're right about that. I mean, I think he would be shocked in terms of the way a lot of things have turned out as a result of that. But yeah, so it looks like Joe Biden, as far as we can tell, got the blessing of the Pope that kind of got a pat on the head and said, it's okay. You may be for abortion, but you're still a good Catholic, so you can still take communion, and go on with that. And, the White House doesn't really want to answer questions about that, because I think before he met with the Pope, some of the press were asking him, about that issue, and Jen Psaki going to shut down the reporters because that's an uncomfortable position, something they didn't really want to deal with at all. But we've also got this, I love that one. That's one of the best things. But we also have this interesting proposal by the Biden administration now that they want to pay families of these illegal aliens up to $450,000 per person for separating the families. So this was there's something, I think the Wall Street Journal reported there were 940 lawsuits filed by these illegal immigrants against the government, which was really initially the Trump administration and it's now the Biden administration for the quote separation of the children and the families, which I think was really a false flag anyway. It's that was pretty dubious as to whether or not there was a lot of truth to exactly what was going on down there as reported by the media. But as the White House or the liberals are saying, well, this is actually a good thing because it could cost them a lot more if they went to court. They're now, they'll just give the money for that. And they're going to, a lot of these people are asylum seekers. But I just think, I find this to be just outrageous. To give up to $450,000 to these people who are not citizens of the United States because they foremost.
Did we give anything close?
Reparations? Is this like a form of that?
Exactly.
By the way, Chris, did we give nearly that much to the Japanese Americans that were interned by FDR?
Yeah.
We're giving your part Japanese, and our former MDGOP chairman Diana Waterman. I want to say her mother may have been in one of those internment camps. Or someone in her family, because I think I've heard that's the story I've heard. Diana, correct us if wrong, but I've heard that, and that's one of those. It's it's like we didn't give nearly that much, and they were illegally. These were Americans that they rounded up and put them into those internment camps. These are illegals that were put into detention centers. I mean, how
we chose to come here.
Yes,
legally,
exactly. I tell you the logic of the Democrat. What does Chris Plant say about Democrats? If they didn't have double standards, they had no standards at all. But really, it's like I was floored by that.
It is like reparations, though, right? I mean, it's like, and there are. I mean, if you're gonna dole out more money, which seems to be the Biden administration's main theme song here, is just give money away no matter what. Is that there are a lot more worthy people to get that kind of money for things that have happened to them than this group of people. I mean, boy, I tell you, if that doesn't send somewhat of a signal to other illegals to say, by the way, come over. Hope that maybe the administration might actually have to separate you from your kids for a little while they process you or whatever. Yeah. But then go ahead and sue the government. And you'll probably collect them $450,000. That's like winning the lottery for these people coming in from some of these countries.
I mean, Joe Biden's mantra is we got what it takes to get along. We're in the money, so he's going to spend that money like it's going out of style, frankly. And is it going to be paid for
later on? We'll make you citizens, and don't forget that $450,000 because basically we want that's paying for your future votes.
Yep. And here's the thing. Now, $450,000. Now, who's going to pay for it? Is this coming out of Joe Biden's stash or Hunter Biden's painting fund? Is that how they're going to pay the $450,000? Or is it going to be all of us having our taxes go up again? And not to beat a dead horse, it looks like they're going to be. They can't. They're going to try and push more trillions and trillions of dollars in spending. Even Joe Manchin says, "Hey, $6 trillion is too much, but I'm okay with $3 trillion in spending." I'm okay with.
I think his number is about 1.8 or something like that.
1. That's a little better. Yeah, no.
But and when Manchin first said that, I mean, that was about half of what the Democrats had proposed, to spend, and they were struggling to get there. Biden is apparently, he's laying out a new plan that's closer to Manchin's number, but there's still the problem there now is just that now they've slimmed down this bill so much, all the spending so much, that progressive Democrats don't like it, right? So the votes they had before from the lefties, they don't have it right now because they're saying, well, where's the money for this, that, and all the programs we wanted? They've been cut to try to get so they can get it to the Senate to Joe Manchin. But Kristen Sinema is still not on board, right? She's on the tax issue. The Democrats basically say, count all these tax increases, they're not going to get it all short.
Mm-hmm.
That Joe Manchin, I like that Joe Manchin, Joy. I don't know. How do you feel? You want to donate to Joe Manchin? I was thinking.
No, not really. I don't think so.
Okay.
What? We're not going to.
Although there are
on this program. I'm going to start a Republican Manchin PAC fight. Does that get me kicked off the Central Committee?
As long as you don't. Yeah, I probably would. Yeah. But I know we say that in jest, but look. There's Democrats we all like, but we never gave them a dime, William Donald Schaefer, we kind of like the guy a little bit, he gave us Camden Yards, how can you dislike a guy after Camden Yards was built, right? We liked Joe Lieberman a little bit, not a lot, like we like some, but we like Scoop Jackson. We liked, Dana Patrick Moynihan. Former Nixon administration fellow, and we liked those. What do you call? Whoops! I just realized I put the wrong link in. I'll change it in a second. But as I was saying, it's like we've got a lot of stuff going on. We've got there are good Democrats that I would never in my good conscience could give money to, because only a Republican is good for Republican issues. And Republican money is only good for Republican candidates. Why would we hand a gun to a Democrat to use it against, And I believe it was somebody from Baltimore City or Baltimore County last week that was saying that just because we don't like it, doesn't change the fact that let's say if you're a candidate and you don't have if you're a candidate and you're a Democrat and you lose the primary, but you have money sitting in your war chest, that money is handed off to the next Democrat in line that will use it against someone else who's not your brother.
That was William from Baltimore City who said that, and that was a really good argument that he made. Because just because there's one Democrat out there who maybe he's a little conservative, great, and you want to give him money, the argument William was making was that the money doesn't stop there.
Yep.
It gets fed in and it can go to other Democrats that you probably wouldn't have given money to. So your buck doesn't just stop with one particular Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
How do we get back to this topic again?
Well,
Joe Manchin.
Joe Manchin. The thing is that Joe Manchin's a guy who doesn't really fit within the Democrat Party. He's not a perfect fit for the Republican Party per se, but he definitely doesn't fit there. He's in a state that Trump just, creamed Biden in. And so he has to watch out for old interests and everything like that. But the party, the Democrat Party, Obama and Biden, they have zero interest, in preserving any of those things because they want zero, carbon emissions by 2050 or 2035, in various things. So, that industry which has already been hit hard, gets hit even harder with these policies. These centrist Democrats, the blue dog Democrats from the South, that used to exist in Congress, basically gone. They've been pushed. There's all this talk in the media about Republicans have polarized politics and things like that. But what happened to all the blue dog Democrats? The left-wing liberal Democrats pushed out all those blue dog guys. You won't see the Scoop Jacksons, the Sam Nunns, all those guys. They don't exist anywhere anymore. And we did have guys like Richard Shelby, who's like, he looked around, he's like, okay, hey, Democrats aren't doing it for me, so he became a Republican, right? And so we saw some of those things happen along the way as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's an interesting situation that we're in now. So Manchin holds the fort there. Biden is really working on him. But I've talked to my son.
And his wife's got a nice little job in the Biden administration.
Yeah, sure, right. But Kristen Sinema now is becoming the big player. She's probably even more the bigger surprise because
she's a progressive.
When we knew the Senate was going to be 50-50,
yeah,
the focus really was on Manchin because they knew because Manchin was in a Republican state, and things like that. People hadn't really paid any attention to Sinema, but she has stood up there. And my son says, "Hey, this has gone very well for her in Arizona."
Yeah,
and
Kristen Sinema. Yeah, and she's no conservative. She was a Bernie Sanders progressive. She's a progressive Democrat. What does it tell you when a progressive Bernie Sandersite does not like this budget? Think how bad it really is when somebody, where she's like, this is way too much spending, even for my progressive agenda. This is way too much spending, and our friend, like we got our friends in the squad, that are, pushing this. I think and these Democrats only need 50. They've got majority in both houses. They don't need a single Republican vote to pass this. So the argument will be, they're going to try and use the argument next year. Oh, send more Republicans to Washington so we can get our agenda pushed through. Well, you don't need more Democrats. You basically can do this on your own, but you guys can't agree amongst yourselves. I
think the Republican strategy, at least in part, should be what all the Democrats do while they're fumbling the ball on this, is to let them go. It's to stay out of the Democrats' way. Let them fight amongst themselves. This is really fun to watch. They are getting nothing done. I mean, here they are. They control everything, all the levers, of government, and they can't get it done. They came in thinking that they were going to steamroll us and spend all this money and pass all this legislation and do all these things. And here we are 9+ months in, and this has been an absolute disaster for the Biden administration. He has nothing really to hang his hat on. It's not getting any better. He goes overseas. He's met with the Pope. He's even had to admit to Macron, President of France, that on the submarine deal, he says, that was clumsily handled. Hello. Yeah. This is one of those things that he was supposed to be good at, was foreign policy, and they bungled that.
But Don, I'll tell you this. Joe, when he was talking submarine sales, he was talking about submarine sandwich sales. That's what he was talking about, that being bungled, because that's Joe Biden's mental acuity, confusing a nuclear-powered sub to a submarine sandwich.
Maybe he was talking about the game Battleship, and he
that's true. That's awesome. That is true. That is very true. And Joe Biden. By the way, did you guys notice he didn't have a mask on when he got out of his limo in Rome? He didn't have a mask on. Did you guys notice that?
No, I didn't catch
this
that.
man wore a mask on a Zoom meeting for the G7 earlier this year, but he gets out of Rome, no mask. Where's your? And I didn't see any social distancing there. He was pretty close to the other people around him. No social distancing.
Yeah, well, we know the Democrats on the mask issue have been very vocal, because how many times have Democrats been caught around the country at events, without a mask? Should have been with a mask.
Do as we say, as they say, right?
It's everywhere. They can't follow their own rules, the things that they want to impose upon everybody else. They can't follow themselves. So it's really a bad thing for them.
Speaking of masks, Chris, if you come to Montgomery County, you don't need a mask anymore. They lifted His Majesty Emperor Mark Elric, his benevolency has removed the mask mandate for our county.
But there is a catch to that, Dwight. Late this afternoon, they said that the rate had ticked up a little bit, and they're going to study the data on, and then the acting health advisor will then look at the CDC and then see if he wants to recommend reimposing the mask mandate back to early. So we may have it just for a few days. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised by Tuesday if they said, "Oh, our averages tick back up. We're now into substantial, and you got to wear a mask again. I was in hog heaven today. I had been so used to this. I went, I've been away. I got back last night from Utah, which very free on the mask situation from almost everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I walk into the gym and I'm wearing a mask, and then I realized within about 5 minutes, I'm like, wait a minute, I don't have to wear a mask.
My fiance was just down at Towson today, picking up something from the mall, and she was like the only person I think she said that was not wearing a mask. And even though you don't have to wear masks indoors in Baltimore County, I mean, everybody was wearing them. She was kind of getting looks for not wearing it, but she also was wearing a 2A sweatshirt, which, not that she's some crazy huge advocate for guns, but she just likes the shirt and she wears it a lot. And so they might have been giving her looks because of the mask plus the lack of mask plus the shirt. Yeah,
You could have completed that trifecta with a MAGA hat.
Yeah. I don't think she'd be wearing them.
But no, here's the thing. What's funny, Chris, in Florida, when I just got back from Florida 2 weeks ago, we look at the people that go into the stores with masks. Funny.
That's what we do in Carroll County.
Yeah, it's like, what are you? Some sort of
my
freak?
son, like I said, I have a son who lives in Arizona, and he tells me, he says, in general, he doesn't wear a mask, but he does when he goes into Walmart. Is he judging people a little bit about the people who actually want it?
See, Don, you can take the boy out of Montgomery County, but you can't take the Montgomery County out of the boy.
Yeah, well, I think he's going to be a little bit too hot for his liking. If he down the line, if he ever finds a job he likes out east, he will probably jump at the chance to return back east.
What is it? Does he not like it in West Berlin? Does he want to go back to East Berlin? Does he miss Erich Honecker and the Stasi, so much that he wants to come back to? He longs to come back to East Berlin from West Berlin.
Like anybody who is born and raised here or things like that. I mean, he loves the area's history and the politics here. I mean, you can be very political here. Even if Maryland is very blue, it doesn't bother him as much. It's just the fact that he can get information and things that it's him out there and all of that.
Yeah,
I do.
But yeah,
I want to say too that get your Janet Yellen, because one of the problems the patient is facing when you see the figures, headline number and core number, they're touching these 30-year highs every month, and so Janet Yellen's out there saying, like, next year inflation will return to normal. What is normal anymore?
That never happens. By the way, that never happens. If you recall, when I was a kid, Chris, a Hershey bar would be 32 cents. And every now and then we'd find at People's Drugstore, which is now CVS, you get 10 of those for $1. And now it's like $1. What is it, $2 for a Hershey bar? Now, something like that?
Probably. I haven't bought one in a while.
The regular ones are probably $1, or close to it by now. I'll beat you that, though. I mean, I still remember going to the old People's Drugstore when I was a kid, since I'm a little older than you, and you could pick up a 6-pack of those Hershey bars because my mom loved Hershey bars, 30 cents.
It is the best candy made in America, the Hershey bar.
I mean, 5 cents a candy bar.
I'm waiting for one of you to say, I remember back when you used to be able to go in and get a candy bar and win the golden ticket and go to Willy Wonka's chocolate factory too. So I thought you were going to get to me for like the penny candy, which was one of my father's. That too.
Well, actually, I remember you could buy, those Nutty Buddies. I think you can buy them for about 30 cents at the highs, because they used to sell individual ice cream bars and stuff. You could buy an ice cream sandwich for 10 cents. Can you imagine that, Chris? 10 cents.
See, I mentioned People's Drug. Now Dwight's mentioning highs, which I think there's maybe 1 or 2 left around.
No, there might be. There's actually a highs in Westminster, if I remember.
There's a highs in Westminster. There's a highs at the bottom of Route 30. before you get into Carroll County, and there's a Highs right across the street from me here, right before you get to Pennsylvania. So there are still Highs.
Yeah,
We
and there's a
love
Highs in Annapolis too, right before the Bay Bridge. Because
Not like it used to be. It's kind of like Roy Rogers, just a handful of them compared to the heydays, right?
You know, but Wawa's is better than Highs, though. So.
Well, you got
Sheets.
the
Sheets?
Sheets and Wawas. That's a fight.
I don't know. Wawa's has the better drink
Look,
option.
hey, look, we're getting a Royal Farms up here in up in Gaithersburg soon, and my wife is looking forward to at least initially to when they open, because the fried chicken will be a special.
Yes, that is also a lot of people
opening.
like their fried chicken. A lot of people like the fried chicken from.
She's still mad at the last one. She went to a grand opening when she was, I think she was in Laurel or Columbia or somewhere, and they gave her
there's one that's in Laurel. Yeah,
9 pieces instead of 10. They shorted her by one piece. She's still upset because she loves her fried chicken. But I mean, what about inflation? I mean, we've got a few minutes here.
Inflation.
I mean, are we going back to the Jimmy Carter type of thing? Where we're like getting into the mentality of we better buy this product today because in a week it'll be another 10% or 5% or 2%.
Yeah,
sorry.
Go ahead. Go for it.
I mean, as much as this sucks right now, I mean, I just filled up my tank, and like everybody else, you're just staring, waiting for the numbers to stop going up. But this is the greatest gift I think we could have going into the midterm elections next year, because whereas like the three of us and probably anybody watching, we're pretty in the know with everything that Joe Biden's doing, but your average person on the street, they're not paying attention to this, to his plan he's trying to force through Congress. But what regular folks, what they do know and what they do see and pay attention to is filling up their tank. And when they're trying to order Christmas gifts this year and they can't get anything back in time because there is this just terrible supply chain problem going on. That is the stuff. That is the thing that's going to wake up regular, everyday Americans who normally shrug and say, "Oh, politics doesn't affect me." Well, newsflash, it does. And the person who is responsible for this is the goofball you sent to the White House. So I think this is going to end up being, as much as it sucks, will end up being a plus for us at the end of the day.
I filled up in.
Yeah, I agree with that too, because I think, one of the things that we know, all of us know, is that, with elections, more presidential than the midterm type of thing, but it'll still affect the midterms. It's just that it's pocketbook issues. Is, how are you doing today? What do you pay? And people, when it comes to things like when you're buying gas and milk and bread and eggs, all the basics and things like that, the prices of this stuff has skyrocketed. And as a result, some people are getting some raises, but not enough to compensate for these increases, and it's hitting their bottom line. Republicans can come in there and say, we're for fiscal restraint. We've got to do something about this. Biden administration's solution to these things is just continue to spend more of our taxpayer money, because that's, we have to do that. You just mentioned the supply chain. Jen Psaki the other day, when asked about the supply chain problem, what was her reply? She said, "Americans are buying too much stuff." Are you kidding me?
I did, but that comment there, I'm like, spoken like a true communist. You have too much material stuff. It's like I don't know if you guys remember the old, I think it was the Wendy's commercial where they were talking about where they'd have a Russian fashion show where they'd have the evening gown is a woman with
where's the
they had one where they had the Russian not what variety in Russia was. It was a woman wearing the same dress. They go evening gown, and the woman would have a flashlight with her. That's if I find the clip, I'll post it up on the Facebook page.
But look, we also on inflation. We have Obama's economic advisor Larry Summers, who also came out and said, he's afraid that we are losing control of inflation. Okay, this is Obama's economic advisor. I mean, how do you beat this back? When you even have Democrats coming out and saying, hey, low, we've got a problem, and then you've got Janet Yellen saying, no, it'll get fine next year. But I mean, once again, what is normal? I mean, we've been used to 2%, 1.5%, 2%, 2.5%, depending upon what it is, in general on the average of inflation for a long time. Is the new normal going to be 3, 4, 5%?
23%.
Well, anything like that is still a huge increase percentage-wise over what it was before, and we do have the supply chain problem. Apple, which is one of the best companies in the world in terms of managing their product line. They went through that pandemic without, they had product, they were selling like gangbusters. During that earnings announcement the other day, they even said, looking forward, we are seeing a problem. They are now running into the same supply chain issues on chips and getting product together and things like that. So you may not be able to get that iPhone 13 and some of those other products as fast as they had hoped because they're running into problems. And if Apple can't get their product and all these things, what do you think the smaller guys are facing? Yeah. Joe Biden. Oh, we're just going to open up the ports 24/7. But where are the port workers that you need to help offload the ships? Where are the
they're on a coffee break.
You need to take these things away. They're not there.
They're on a union mandate.
They don't have the people as it is.
Right. So
and they don't want to use the National
means
Guard.
Nothing if you don't have the people.
Yeah. And they don't want to use the National Guard like they initially said. Hey, maybe we can use the National Guard.
They back off of that.
It's like, and here is the whole hilarity of it. If you give any of this stuff, it'd be funny if this wasn't so serious. Frankly, this would be a very very comical movie if this were a movie, but this is real life. We call it the absent-minded president. And it's like, if you didn't laugh, I guess you'd cry at seeing here's the Terry McAuliffe has a commercial today. Like Joe Biden, I'm fighting for the little guy. Oh yeah, you're fighting for the little guy that makes $15 an hour. Hey, how's that $15 an hour working out for you now when he can't afford to fill his car up with gas and buy groceries? And Janet Yellen wants to monitor him when he deposits $600 into his bank account or takes $600 out, which is probably going to be how much groceries are going to cost by the end of under the Biden regime, frankly. And it's very sad how bad these guys are botching things. And can you believe it's only been 10 months?
Well, it's not. It's 9 months plus. 9 months and a week.
January 20th, 1201,
So we get. I want to be accurate that we're not quite at 10 months. The first 9 months have been bad. It's not going to get any time soon, and everything like that. Hey, look, for the last few minutes here before we go to final thoughts, let's have a real quick discussion about this Virginia governor's race because it is tight, and this is, I think, if you're a Republican, you're feeling good about this. I don't know how the early voting is going to affect all this stuff. I mean, McAuliffe is. I mean, their campaign is panicking.
Let me tell you, I am very confident we'll pick up 2 out of the 3. But there's actually that outside chance we do a clean sweep in Virginia. Frankly, Mark Herring and Terry McAuliffe are on the wrong side of history on this one. Mark Herring has done nothing to prosecute the child predators or any of that stuff. He doesn't want to do any of that stuff. Terry McAuliffe doesn't want parents to have a say in their kids' education. Hala. Not the good Hala from Wycomico County. Hala, I can't think of her last name, who's running for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia. They must be really desperate. They're now running commercials linking Glenn Youngkin and Jason Morales with Donald Trump, with President Trump. They're doing that. That's how desperate they are. They've got commercial. Terry McAuliffe is a Clinton guy. They hate the Obamas. You know how much he must have hated crawling on his hands and knees to, oh, master, please come and bail me out on this race. reminds me of this old episode of a G.I. Joe cartoon where you have these two Cobra officers that are begging Serpentor for their, but 80s kids will get that reference.
I love how.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say. I mean, I cannot believe the line about the parent. What was the exact line, Dwight, about the parents should stay out of?
I don't want parents telling teachers what to do.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah. I mean,
there was a little bit of
hypocrisy of
bigger context. Yeah, but he basically said, I mean, it was a reference to book banning and things like that. But the problem still was that, yeah, parents should be telling the teachers what to teach, right?
I mean, the Democrats who like to ring the bell, typically 24/7, when it comes to something like abortion, government should stay out of our way, our bodies, our choice. But I guess but when it comes to our children, government knows best. Stay the hell out of our business.
Mm-hmm.
Stay the hell out. Just let the government do it. They know what's best. I mean, that is just insane. I mean, God bless God bless the Republicans of Virginia, because when that line came out, I mean, they must have been tripping over themselves on how they're going to use that. But yeah, things are looking really good. Yeah. I'm personally looking forward to because normally, like the rest of you guys, during an election night, usually we're out taking signs down, handing out literature all day. Mm-hmm. So I'm looking forward to having a high stakes race and not on the ground and just kicking back my feet, flipping back and forth between the channels, watching the guys on CNN cry, and just
funny you should mention CNN. Last November, I thought they were going to start crying. When they're like, when they saw that they weren't doing as well in the House and Senate races. I mean, here's one thing about Democrats: they're just never happy. You'd think they'd be happy as clams right now. They've got a Democrat president, a Democrat House, a Democrat Senate. You think you'd be. I mean, how happy would we be if we had that right now, right, Chris? If we had a Republican president, Republican House, we'd be happy as it can be. Democrats are just depressing individuals. I mean, they all need to take a Prozac, frankly, to get up to mopey, I think. The problem with this is the problem with the modern Democrat Party. They're a bunch of negative Nellies. Have you noticed that every Democrat, whenever they run for office against any generic Republican, the worst economy since the Great Depression, everything, I thought George W. Bush had the worst economy since the Great Depression. You can't say President Trump had the worst economy since the Great Depression, and George W. Bush, and George H.W. Bush, and Ronald Reagan, and Jerry Ford, Richard Nixon, Dwight David Eisenhower. You can't say every Republican has had the worst economy. It's kind of like when they play. It's kind of like the way they basically have diluted the race card. I mean, they play the race card at a drop of a hat. It's become like the little boy that cried wolf. This is the little party that cries racism. This is the little party that says everything's the Great Depression. It's like no one takes them seriously except their woke sycophantic followers, frankly, and their acolytes at CNN, MSNBC.
I want to say one more thing about this Virginia race too, because besides the top offices that they're having elections for, it's also the House of Delegates, which is currently controlled by the Democrats, 55 to 45. Mm-hmm. So 6 seats, right?
That's all we need. 6 seats.
6 seats flips it. So I think win or lose for Youngkin. I mean, I think even if Youngkin loses and say he gets like 49% or whatever, I think that there's still a very good chance that carries down ballot enough, that they could flip the seats in House Delegates, because once again, Virginia is a lot like things that happened in the 2020 presidential race. A lot of what happened in the House of Delegates the last time around was an anti-Trump sentiment. Mm-hmm. And Trump's really not in this picture. It's they have to focus more on issues and things like that. And that when that happens, that changes the whole narrative and the whole script for this. So I'm pretty optimistic that I think that that the Republicans can retake that, which will be good, because if McCall somehow miraculously wins, and then the Republicans
Crook, right?
delegates, that will slow down a lot of legislation and a lot of the agenda. But there's no enthusiasm for McAuliffe. I mean, he's got a huge enthusiasm gap. His campaign rallies lately have attracted no one, and this is a problem. He's a former governor, and nobody really cares about this guy anymore.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I think I wish George Allen had 2 terms. I wish Jim Gilmore had 2 terms. I wish Bob McDonnell had 2 terms. I even wish Doug Wilder. By the way, Doug Wilder, rightly so, called out Terry McAuliffe and the Democrat Party in Virginia. The first, governor of Virginia who just happened to be black, I think is going to be. I bet he cast his vote for Glenn Youngkin. Just saying.
Never know.
Yeah.
All right, so you want to do final thoughts?
Yeah, let's do final thoughts. Let's start with you, Chris. Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Looks like I thought maybe we would talk about our friends in the
secession movement
going to West Virginia. I mean, it's that was fun. Don't think it's happening, but it was fun. I enjoyed the governor of West Virginia's comments. I mean, he was, just pumped about the idea. Said, why wouldn't you want to join us? We're a little slice of heaven, or however he put it. But
just because John Denver said it's almost heaven, West Virginia, it's not.
Yeah, but I don't think it's happening. Just throwing it out there. Yeah. It's not gonna probably. If you live in Garrett County, don't start changing. Don't start changing how you sign your Christmas cards quite yet.
By the way, Chris, I don't know if you're old enough to remember this. Are you familiar with the 3-state solution?
Heard
back
of it.
Back in 2010, there was a movement to have a 3-state solution: the state of Western Maryland, the state of Eastern Maryland, and Maryland, which would be the I-95 corridor. That was it. I used to say, hey, it's Joe Biden's Iraq policy coming to Maryland, a 3-state solution. And that would not have been so bad because we had 2 Republican senators, a Republican Congress, 2 Republican congressmen, and then we'd only have 2 Democrats. So we'd basically cancel out the 2 Maryland with our East and West, 4 senators from the East and West. We'll cancel out the 2. Going to becoming part of West Virginia, you're really not doing much of anything. You still have the same, you're not tipping the power balance or anything like that. I mean, let's think about doing a 3-state solution. By the way, that was the big thing around 2010. They wanted to secede and become West Maryland, and that didn't happen. This is not going to happen. It's nice. It's kind of nice to have happy thoughts, but nah, not going to happen.
Look, just on that though, I mean, if you're the West Virginia governor, you're like, take it. We need more population because we've lost a congressional seat.
That is true. And but I mean, be careful what you wish for West Virginia, because a lot of people from Montgomery County do move out to Western Maryland, and you really don't want that trend to continue. It's beautiful out here. The taxes are so low. Let's turn this into Montgomery County. Any other thoughts, Chris?
No.
We have elections, don't we, this Tuesday in Maryland also, right? Annapolis is, hopefully they'll elect a Republican mayor who's not going to clog up traffic with bike lanes. Well, those already downtown Annapolis narrow streets.
Yeah, Annapolis and the city of Frederick.
Yeah. Yep. Good luck to our friends that are running in Frederick and in Annapolis. Don, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. First final thought is just for me, a personal congratulations to you, Dwight, for becoming the is it officially was it called the Republican Man of the Year? Is that what it was?
Yes,
titled?
The Charles Carroll Award for Outstanding Maryland Republican Man.
Well, congratulations.
I'm reading the plaque. It's right here.
Yeah, I'm glad that you were able.
For being a man or becoming a man. Oh wait, that's the Democrats give out that award.
Yes, they do.
So congratulations to you, Dwight, for that.
Thank you.
Have done.
Thank you.
You have been a solid, loyal Republican. Have done a lot for the Republican Party over the years. So this is definitely a well.
And I never donated to Democrats or ever had the need to donate to Democrats. Unlike some people in my county.
Right. I know you have your detractors, but good for you. For that. So that's one. I just wanted to put that out there. The other one is just
thank you
on PETA, People for the Ethical Treatment of Animals. Is
that what it means? I thought it was people eating tasty animals. I thought that's what the acronym was.
Yeah. Do I still have that sticker up, or did I cover that?
I remember designing that sticker for you.
Yeah, it's
there. You go. That's it.
It's still there. But so they're also a big publicity machine. They're publicity hounds, and so here we are, on Game 3 tonight of the World Series, and they throw out this press release that they think that Major League Baseball should rename the bullpen, which is where all the relief pitchers are, for the game, to the what was it? What they call it? The
armrest or something?
Arm yard, I think it is. And because bullpen is offensive to cows.
This is just a slippery slope. You know what's going to happen? No more sports teams with animals. The Philadelphia Eagles, you can't be the Eagles anymore.
Well, one of my thoughts was that, look, frequently in like brokerage firms, they have groups of people making cold calls, and they're the bullpen. What are they supposed to call them? The people pit or something like that, or the holding pen or whatever. But the other thing that's now being taken on, because once again we are in a very political world, is that the Atlanta Braves are playing, right? So what are one of the things they're famous for? Tomahawk chop.
Tomahawk chop.
Remember how Jane Fonda got in trouble when she was married to Ted Turner for that years ago, and everything like this. And plus, their name is the Braves. Atlanta's playing. I mean, this World Series is kind of a PR nightmare for Major League Baseball, because you have the Houston Astros, who were caught cheating, from the World Series before, and you have the Atlanta Braves. So you've got a politically incorrect name team. They've got a tomahawk chop. And the All-Star game was moved out of Atlanta by Major League Baseball this year as well, when they were going to honor none other than Hank Aaron, Hammerin' Hank, one of the greatest baseball players and a former, king of baseball in terms of home run king at one point in time. They moved it out of there for PC reasons. So, over the voting rights, laws that were being changed there. So Major League Baseball, I mean, I love baseball. I love a lot of these sports, but all this political collective stuff is just such a load of hooey. It's just really disappointing that these people are caving into these things and not standing up for this. I mean, what's wrong with the name Braves? God,
Well, it's like By the way, I'm surprised they haven't gone after the Angels and the Padres. Yeah,
everything. Yeah, I mean, it's going to go the way of the Washington football team. You've got to you just call them the baseball team, the basketball team.
By the way, doesn't the Cleveland Browns offend brown people? Shouldn't they change their name too? The Cleveland Browns.
Well, I mean, the Cleveland Indians are changing to the Cleveland Guardians, but it was what? There's another team that's named the Guardians. Or the roller skating team.
Yeah.
And they're suing. They're going to sue the Indians for that, because you can't have two Guardians in the same city.
Why can't they be the Cleveland Mistakes? Because it is the mistake on the lake, Although that was a great city for the convention last time around, I must say.
So anyway, all of those things, those are all my thoughts wrapped up there.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Dwight.
Yeah, my final thoughts are a couple things. One, we've got a book event for Governor Bob Ehrlich. It's his fifth book, The Original Unconventional and Inconvenient President. It's about Donald Trump and his MAGA movement. It is December 2nd in Kensington, Maryland. You can buy tickets at the link below. Hopefully, we'll see all of you folks there. And we've got, Craig Yoakum just sent us a chat message. So there you go, Craig. There you go. And the other thing I wanted to talk about today is, I don't know how much you guys know about this, in Prince George's County, the Madagascar zebras are running wild.
Yeah. Seriously.
And I know Angela also Brooks, she did hire a hunter she brought in the big guns. She brought in Craven the Hunter. You know, this is her at the press conference. Or you see the zebras photobombed them at that press conference. You know, and
I like the Craven reference.
And as I understand that Angela is at wit's end with Craven the Hunter because the zebras are still making a monkey of Craven the Hunter because he basically they seem to just want to the zebras are outwitting the guy and they're also outwitting Angela also Brooks, you know, frankly. So it's, you know, one of those things. It's like, you know, there's a lot of other problems in Prince George's County and the Madagascar zebras. You know, that's, you know, like when will they be rounded up and brought to justice? They've been making a mockery of Craven the Hunter. You know, and Craven is no, we all know, right? Craven, he's no schlub. I mean, he fights lions, and that was before, you know, he fights lions with his bare hands, you know. But these zebras have made a monkey of him, you know. So, you know, I wish Craven the Hunter the best of luck in getting the Madagascar zebras, you know. But I think Angela also Brooks might be firing you soon. So I wouldn't be surprised because I've heard rumors the zebras caught Craven and tied him up and left him in somewhere in PG County. I think downtown Greenbelt or something like that. They left him hanging from a tree or something like that. But that's, you know, that's my other final. And last bit of final thoughts. I want to just say, Garrett, great job on that resolution you did. You did a great job putting it out. Let's get this job done in Ocean City. I think we should treat this like a campaign. We need to go to central committees and find advocates to push this. And we run this as like a campaign and we separate the two more perpetuate and giving the Democrats, we get them pushed through that away. And I think we need to organize and campaign. And I just say we need to route out some of these Republicans who like to give money to Democrats. That's just my 2 cents. You know, that might be a little too radical thinking, you know, or something like that. But that's just my thought, you know. And everyone else, good. Thanks for watching, and we will see you again. No, next Friday we're off again because it's the Anne Arundel County Lincoln Day dinner. And that's Don, you, and Jeff. Well, I think Jeff's coming to the dinner, but I can show you how to set everything up. We could do the show. You know, are you going to Anne Arundel County next week, Chris?
I haven't bought my ticket yet, but I'm
yeah. Devin Nunes is their speaker.
Yeah,
and the price is so insanely low. It's only $100 for a ticket. You know, I think Jason Trotz lost his mind. I think he's the vice chairman over there. You know, Jason, you've lost your mind.
Are they holding it?
It's Glen Burnie, so it's not as you don't have to drive all the way out to Annapolis, you know, for this.
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, you know,
thank you guys for having me back. I know I've been busy. I swear I'm not making things up every.
No, I know. Last week you were busy. We were all busy. And what do you call? Then we were at the Red, White, and Blue. We've had a lot of Friday night events. Next week, you know, we've got Anne Arundel County. You know, so you know it's understandable. You know, but our audience understands we're busy people. You know, we're trying to get Republicans elected. You know, but how is candidate recruitment going? Real quick in Carroll County, you guys finding a lot of people to run for office?
It's been really, really, really quiet. I mean, it's the same thing that I think you're seeing in, or hearing a lot, which is people are waiting to see what maps look like. But yeah, it's been really quiet. I mean, there's not been many candidates that have followed, and I mean, with us approaching the new year, it's a little unusual. But no, we definitely have people lined up, and I've been talking to a lot of good people, and I think we'll have a lot of good candidates, but just not following yet.
Yeah, and one last final thought: Montgomery County, for the first time in probably in my lifetime, Don, we're probably going to be under 100,000 registered Republicans early next quarter. Wow. We've lost roughly about, I want to say, close to 10,000 registered Republicans just since January of this year. In the year this year, we've lost, you know, and this is coming from people accusing the old guard of falling asleep behind the wheel. But when we were running the show, we had 120,000 Republicans, and now we're on pace to being below 100,000. Maybe someone else is falling asleep at the wheel too, right, Don?
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah. So happy Halloween, everyone. Come to my house, full-size candy bars. You know,
We've,
and if I
we've
run
gone
them out,
fun, we've gone fun size. I don't know who's going to show up on Sunday.
and if we run out of the full size, I got the king size bars. They're like, the big ones. Those are actually for the special people. I know you know who you are. When you come to my house, you'll get the full size bar, the king size
What,
bars.
yeah, when the kids come to their door, do they have to show their parents a voter registration card? You only give the king size to the Republican parents.
Yes, exactly. That's what I do. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to.
I'm going to give the king size to those that have been vaccinated under this.
Yes. I'm actually scheduled to get my booster next month, actually, which is next week. But yeah, actually, what I had to do that. I had to put some GOP. I had to put Dr. Politics stickers on all the candies and give those out to the kids. I've got a bunch of those still left, stickers. Well, again, thank you, everyone. Happy Halloween. We'll see everyone in 2 weeks. Take care.
Right.
Good night, everyone.